What if I told you there's a 30% sale on the entire internet starting now in January? And no, not for consumers, for you, the advertiser. See, the problem is most advertisers, businesses, marketers like myself, get a bit of a, I guess you could call it like a marketing hangover. So basically, you've had the high of Black Friday, you've had the high of the festive season, the holidays, and then you see sales take a dip in January. And what most people do is they panic. They either pause their ads completely for a month or they lower their budgets. I'm going to show you now why this is a massive mistake and there's actually a big opportunity here. See, this actually creates a supply-demand gap. The ad inventory is high, but the competition is low. And this is what we call the attention arbitrage. Don't think of it as if you are spending money in January. Rather think of it as you are taking market share at a discount. See, CPMs are about 30 to 40% lower in January compared to the rest of the year. Now, CPMs are cost to reach 1,000 impressions. It's basically a metric that tells you how expensive ads are. You can think of it that way. That's a simplified take. But how much are you paying to reach 1,000 impressions? And it's about 40% lower in January. Now I'm going to run you through a couple of strategies that you can actually do in January to make the most out of this. So first is just keep calm and carry on, basically. If your ads have been working, keep them running. Do not lower the budget. Now, the reason for this is the same $1,000 ad spend is going to get you much further reach because of the cheaper CPMs. Now, if we say that your click-through rates are going to be similar, that's going to mean more clicks going to your website. And if you have a similar conversion rate on your website, you're going to make more sales. Now, even if that conversion rate takes a dip because people have less disposable income in January, you're still going to see the same amount of sales because the lower conversion rate dip is going to be offset by the cheaper CPM. So you can have that conversion rate go down a bit because you're getting more clicks for the same spend. Now, the next thing to make sure of when advertising in January is because the CPMs are cheaper and you're going to be getting more people coming to your website, you have to understand a lot of them aren't going to be able to purchase because people have less money in the beginning of the year. So you got to make sure that you're making the most out of the traffic coming to your website. And you can do this by getting their details to sell to them at a later stage when they do have money. Now, this is known as a lead magnet. Now, a lead magnet has been around in marketing since the beginning. And you can do this basically by providing value to someone in exchange for their contact details. So value could be a discount. It could be promise of future discounts. It could be a free gift. It could be value provided in the form of free expertise, tips, education, things like that. It's something you give someone in exchange for their contact details. Now, why this is more relevant in January than in other months is we know you're going to be getting more people to your website. That's one thing we know because of the cheaper CPMs. And we know for a fact that people on average have less money to spend in January. So more website visitors, less of them wanting to buy right now. Why not get their details and sell to them at a later stage via a lead magnet? That email list that you can grow in January will be yours forever. You can sell to them when they have money again and for eternity. So that is something to keep in mind. Lead magnets, gathering people's details in January while the ad spend is cheaper, is an incredibly effective strategy. The next super effective strategy for January is running like heavy top of funnel video ads. Now, some of these ads aren't even going to have a call to action to purchase now. They are going to be video ads for the top of the funnel, trying to get people to view at least 50% or 75% of the video. What you can then go and do is go and create custom audiences of people that have viewed your videos in the past. You can set the time frame, but let's say in the past 2 months, people that have viewed at least 50% of your videos, and then retarget them after payday when they do have disposable income. At that stage, they're going to be more likely to purchase because they've viewed your video and they've viewed it with it's quite an intentional view. When someone views your video for at least half of your video or 3/4 of your video, they know about your brand. They're going to remember the product. Then when you retarget them via this custom audience you have created, they're going to be more likely to purchase. So that is also a very effective strategy for running ads while CPMs are lower, especially if these aren't even conversion ads. If these are like engagement or video view ads, you're going to reach an incredible amount of people in January with that type of campaign objective while CPMs are lower. Another cool strategy for advertising in January is the high value, low ticket Tripwire strategy. So this is where you have a product or a service, depending on what you sell, that is so low cost, you're basically just covering your ad fees and maybe the cost of the product and the shipping. You're not making any money off this. The whole idea behind it is it's a super cheap product, so January people don't have as much disposable income, but you're getting them into your ecosystem. Now, something we know for sure is it is much easier getting someone that's already purchased from you to purchase again compared to what it is to get a stranger to purchase for the first time. So you are sacrificing the profits in January when people don't have money to get someone into your ecosystem, and then you're thinking of the lifetime value, the LTV of that customer. And they could come back to purchase for the second, third, fourth, fifth time. So you've sacrificed the short term to get the gain on the second purchase, the third purchase, the fourth purchase. Now, for those returning purchases, they're not going to be as cash strapped, and you might not even have to pay ad spend to reach them for that second, third, fourth purchase. You have their email, you have their details, they've purchased from you already. Now you can send them an email with a new product or a different product or a higher ticket product just after payday when you know they have money to spend. The next strategy for running ads in January when CPMs are lower is the brand awareness strategy. Now remember, in a competitive market, the loudest voice always wins. So when everyone else silences their voice by turning down their budgets or switching off their ads, you're the only one left in the room and everyone's listening to you. So this is an amazing time to run ads specifically for brand awareness and for authority. This is your opportunity to be the teacher, provide educational content, give away your best secrets. When people want to purchase in your niche or in your market again, you're going to be top of mind as the authority in this space. So use these cheaper CPMs and use the fact that your competitors aren't advertising to actually give away the most value you've ever given away. So that your reach will be greater due to the cheaper CPMs, but also you're going to be top of mind in terms of authority and social trust when people are ready to purchase. If you're running ads in January, you need to keep the psychology of the person on social media or the consumer in mind. So the new year, new me psychological content pivot is like so necessary. So in other words, if you are a kitchenware brand and you sell pans, in January, you're not selling pans. You're selling the key to a healthier 2026, the key to healthy meal plans. If you sell diaries, you're not selling a book with pages. You're selling the secret to being more organized in 2026 and achieving your goals. So to tap into that psychology behind the new year, new me, people are so keen to get their lives in order. And if you can play a role in that, you're going to see a lot of success. You'd be surprised how people are willing to spend their last $20 that they have for the month on something that's going to turn their life around and get them to achieve their goals. And you only really have about a month of that sort of psychological mindset. And that's January. Because after that, people slip back into the same routines and people give up on their goals and all of that. So make the most of that and pivot your content in such a way where you just change the angle of the message to speak to people's psychology that they are in the beginning of the new year. Everyone's got goals. Everyone wants to get in shape. They want to be successful. They want to make money. They want to improve their relationships. Tap into that. Look at your product. So you can look at your product literally for what it is. As I use the diary example, okay, it's a book where you write. But then think, how can you change that angle to make it relevant to the new year, new me? So this is an incredibly successful ad copy and also just general angle for your creatives in January. There's one more topic I want to talk about, and that's the long-term wealth gap. That's at least what I see it as. Now, to me, to be able to do any of these strategies that we have just spoken about here in January, where people don't have as much disposable income, you might not have as much disposable income, to be able to plan ahead, you actually need to be in a position where you could sacrifice the short term, which is January's income, January's revenue, for gains in the long term. Now, businesses and people that are able to plan the furthest ahead are going to be the richest and are going to win in the biggest proportions. Now, the problem is you cannot plan ahead when you're struggling to pay your bills at the end of the week or at the end of the month. And if that's you have to sort that out, because the people that are going to win are the people that can look at January, for example, and advertising in January and say, people don't have money now, but instead of switching off my ads, I'm going to use these cheaper ad costs to get a ton of leads in, and then I'm going to make money in Feb, March, April, May. So if you have that luxury to plan ahead like that, you're going to beat the broke guy, the businesses with no money, because they don't have that luxury. They have to switch off the ads. They have to close the tap. Whereas you can plan ahead. Now, people that can plan years ahead, they are the ones that are going to win in the biggest fashion. But before we get there and say, okay, what's your 5-year plan or 10-year plan? Being able to look a couple months ahead is already, that's the first prize. That's where you should be. So are you going to be the business that hides in January, or are you going to be the one to actually build your empire?